This seventh installment of my series on Soulcialism and making it real is really more of a just sort of a wrap up. There's not new aspects of Soulcialism to introduce. I've covered Soulcialism as a worldview in which everything is interconnected, and I've covered it as a way of life in which we seek to experience our interconnection with everything through imaginative empathy and through compassionate action to express our interconnection with everything. And then I've talked about the spheres of interconnection: myself, yourself, others, nature or the cosmos, and the divine. So I don't really have a new dimension of Soulcialism, but in terms of making it real, want to just kind of recommend some kind of a daily routine. Maybe you could pick a sphere: self, others, world, divine. You could pick a pillar, um, ways of experiencing interconnection through imaginative empathy or expressing it through compassionate action, um, and just any of the practices that I've introduced or other things that you want to do, but just kind of making that a daily habit. I actually try to give a little bit of time each day to all four spheres, even if all I do is name them. Even if all I name is an intention. Today I'm intending to deepen my interconnection with myself, others, the world around me, and the divine. Even if that's all it gets to in a given day, that is something. But again, pick a sphere, pick a one of the pillars of practice, the imaginative empathy or the compassionate action, and just keep digging, keep going. You'll figure it out as you go. The other thing I wanted to bring up before I close this out is Soulcialism can be related to other spheres of life. Obviously, I think one of the most obvious would be the question of how is Soulcialism related to, say, the religious heritages of the world. And one of the things I would say is just, I think no matter what religious heritage we might own kind of as our own identity, and for many of us that's a mix of heritages, but wherever we are on that whole thing, including those of us who have no interest in any kind of a religious affiliation at all, whether we regard ourselves as spiritual or not, one of the ways that Soulcialism, I think, can really engage with the religious heritages of the world, and again, however any of us identify or don't identify with those, is a couple of things. One, I think the experiencing of interconnection through imaginative empathy could really change the whole interreligious relationship of people around the world. The religions have tended to be pretty bloody with one another. Even more recently, Buddhism in Myanmar. Check out that history. But all the religions have some bloody history to greater and lesser degrees, with rare exceptions. But imagine, I'll use imagination here. Imagine that religious adherents were trying to experience an interconnection with people of other religions through imaginative empathy, imagining that I'm actually a member of that religious heritage. What is it of value that has fed people for millions of years in some cases, rare cases, thousands of years at least. I don't want to exaggerate here, but millions of people for centuries have experienced nourishment for their lives. So imaginative empathy puts me in a spot where I can imagine that and put myself in that position, and that has got to change how we end up relating to one another. And the other would be to express our interconnection as human beings through compassionate action towards and with one another. And there's a growing number of examples where people of different faith communities are actually banding together to do good things in the world, compassionate things in the world. And that's a powerful expression of our interconnection as human beings. So Soulcialism in its engagement or ways of changing our engagement actually as religious people is I think potentially powerful. I think in the political scene, I'll just again kind of connect with the American scene right now, but a socialist approach on the part of those of us who might be blue voters or red voters towards each other, to actually put ourselves in the position of other people, to realize that we are connected, and to want to experience that connection through imaginative empathy. Me as a blue voter towards red voters, and I'm thinking here especially not so much of moderate, middle ground, reasonable people who actually want to dialogue and learn and have something of value to offer, but I'm thinking in both blue and red contexts of really extreme, what I would call sort of fundamentalist reds and blues, who don't see value in the other, to actually imaginatively put ourselves in a place of empathy towards one another and realize there's reasons why people hold the convictions they do. And not all of them are just wackos on either side. So to actually look for the gold in there and imaginatively put myself in an empathetic position of what it is that is attractive about that political ideology that I may not identify with. And compassionate action towards one another, just to actually want to do good for one another, regardless of our political ideologies, would change the landscape in America right now. And then the third one I'll mention, and it's related to what I've just talked about, is in the world of social media. I called it social media. I wish it was social media. But in the world of social media, just imagine if before I go to my Instagram feed, before I go to Facebook, before I go to TikTok, YouTube, wherever, before I do any of those things, if I actually set some intentions in myself that I am going to try to experience interconnection with people who are posting, through imaginative empathy with them, I am going to intend to express compassionate action in what I post, in what I comment on, in what I like, etc. Because all sorts of things get stirred up in us when we enter that sphere of social media. There's the dopamine effect of just wanting to scroll more, but there's also just the world of the stuff we see. Stuff that makes us angry, stuff that makes us envious of others who seem to be doing better at things, artists who seem to be having shows and we're not, or people with followers that we don't have, or they get more likes than we have, all that kind of stuff, right? More views, et cetera, when it's kind of insane that, a view is like 3 seconds of looking at things, less for some apps. Why am I worried about how many people actually paused long enough for it to count as a view, but didn't really look at everything? Anyway, how we enter that space is in and of itself, I think, open to socialist practice. And I would really encourage that for all of us as just a daily thing. I'm really trying to do that, and there's times I find myself in the midst of scrolling and realize, oh my gosh, I'm not doing this as a socialist anymore. I'm just stuck in it like everybody else. So Soulcialism as a worldview, as a way of life, as a way of really trying to pursue and deepen the interconnection that we share is, for me, just really, really crucial. And it's very simple stuff when it comes down to it. And so I'm trying to live that out. I hope this has been encouraging to you. I'm gonna close with a song, maybe sort of an odd song to close with. It's a song that I titled Last Prayers, and it's kind of imagining a person near the end of their life. They're actually, I don't know if they're, I wrote the song, but I don't know if they're on a ledge because they're thinking about suicide. But they're kind of looking out at the horizon and the end of things, and they're looking down from this ledge and wondering how their life might end. And then it switches to actually being in the afterlife. and my best attempt to try to describe what might happen there, and then comes back to the ledge. So just seemed like a good way to wrap this up. Last prayers, and let's keep making it real. Soulcialism, that is. Forgot to get the lyrics in front of me, so I'm going to have to put them back there. Sorry about that. Standing on the edges where the horizon disappears, and I'm leaning from the ledge and looking down to face my fears. Will the ground come rushing at me before I catch my breath? Will my life flash there before my eyes in the moment of my death? Will angels be there to greet me, carry me away? Will they have mercy on these worn out bones? Give me words when I don't have words to say. A long dark tunnel, it ends in light, in a world without sun or moon, and yet there is no night. And all those souls we thought were lost out in oblivion will take our hands, teach us how to dance, teach us how to live again. And I know I'm welcome here, though no one says a word to me. The beauty and the shadows have been sent here to spend eternity. And among all these faces I see many I have scarred, and I want to ask the question that's burning in my heart: can you forgive me? Forgive me. I hear a voice on the hills, more alive than the living. A voice on the hills singing, I have forgiven. There are no souls that have been lost out in oblivion. Every soul will sing, they'll join the music that makes them live again. I have forgiven. 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 I have forgiven. Standing on the edge where the horizon disappears, leaning from the ledge and looking down to face my fears. Well, the whole purpose of this series has been trying to make Soulcialism real, this worldview of interconnection and with everything, myself and others and nature and the divine, and this way of life of really trying to experience that interconnection through imaginative empathy and express that interconnection through compassionate action. It's been the aim of this whole thing. I'd love to hear how your attempts maybe at making this real are, or your own takes on this, which may be different. So hit me up in the comments, and whether you buy into the whole socialist thing or not, let's make some version of a better life real. All right, thanks. I'll see you on the journey.